Ready? All right. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Oconee County Rec and Tourism Commission for August 25th, 2022. This meeting is now called to order. I'd like to go ahead and move on to the approval of the minutes. I think everybody has a copy of the minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve them as read.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, beautiful. Next up is the vote on the grants.
So I'll go through real quick. Just a reminder, this is your treasurer's report. You've got $60,000 available to you today. I kept the eligibility policy on there just in case there was any applicants in the audience, just to hit that again. So we'll go through, get past that. I'll hit each one real quick, and if there's no questions, we'll move through those pretty fast and then get you back to your discussion time. So again, these are in alphabetical order. City of Seneca Half Marathon. Any questions on this grant? Devil's Fork State Park. Any questions on this grant? Discover Upcountry South Carolina. Any questions on this grant? Downtown Seneca Merchants. Any questions? Eagles Nest Art Center. Black today. Main Street, Valhalla. Lake Hartwell Country. The Oconee County Chamber of Commerce. Farm Center. Foothills Farmstead. Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail. Walhalla Oktoberfest.
I do have a question about that one. Is that the city that puts on the?
The city is a partner in it, but they have their own committee
Okay.
that works on that festival. They have a festival committee.
Okay.
Walhalla Performing Arts Center. That's actually the last one. All right, with no questions, just a reminder, you've got $60,000 available today, and we will put this up on the board as a working document. And Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you and let y'all kind of deliberate and talk. I'll fill it in as you talk, and then when we get to the end and everybody's happy, then we'll go and do a motion for each one. Okay?
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the first one. City of Seneca. What's the recommendation?
7,500.
I'm good with that.
With the math, could we look at just splitting everything in half and then working up or down based off of that? I mean, it's 120,000 and
Perfect. I mean, I think that makes sense, to be honest with you.
I mean, we'll have a little bit that we have to make up. We can at least start there.
I was gonna say we start with Oconee County Chamber. Go ahead and put that 15 in and then work down from there.
All right.
See what, but we could do it as you were saying too, either way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you would put, can you put 15 there?
All right, Devil's Fork State Park.
6.
we'll put up what I hear and then
Yeah.
y'all deliberate.
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
each
I
other's-
think there's gonna have to be some adjustments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Discover Upcountry.
I'd start with like 8 on that.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
8. I like 8. Downtown Second Merchants Association.
I think I have to recuse myself from that one.
750.
Just to be clear, this is their first time applying? This is their first time?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
In the last 2 years.
The last two.
They've come in the past, but they hadn't had anything the last 2 years.
okay. All right. Is it 750 recommendation? Okay. All right, next one, Eagles Nest Art Center.
Maybe we'll do 8,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000, it's not an exorbitant amount of money. 1,000, fine for starting point.
Okay. All right, next up, Main Street Walhalla.
4.
Yeah. Probably 4. Blake Hartwell Country.
So, but Main Street Walhalla is eligible for 6,315, correct?
Correct.
Am I reading that right? Okay.
Right. Maybe 7 on Lake Hartwell.
Yeah.
Farm Center.
With maybe 6.
Yeah.
I would encourage you not to shortchange the last ones just because of they're alphabetical.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Do what you're gonna do, and then
Absolutely.
go back and make your adjustments.
Yeah.
My only thing with Lake Hartwell Country is we're doing 70% of it, and then, Discover Up Country, we're doing
50.
40% of it. I just don't know why the difference between those two, since they seem to be similar kind of.
That's fair.
projects.
Let's drop it back, to the same percentage roughly on those two, since they're very.
So that'd be 4, yeah.
Four Hills Farmstead.
22.
And Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail.
1,000, yeah.
Yeah.
May I add that she is always, always on time with her reports, and I never have to ask for them.
So she's not part of the eligibility policy.
Waktola, Walhalla Oktoberfest.
See, that's where it gets tough, because I would say probably like at least 35 or 4 for that.
Yeah, I'd go 4.
Yeah, and,
Oh, it's not
But-
locked in yet.
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's just
adjust the
gonna
numbers.
make, yeah, it's gonna make some tough decisions here.
1,000.
Because we always do Performing Arts Center pretty heavily.
That's what I was about to say. We're traditionally very heavy on
I
Ohio
know.
Performing Arts, and I mean, not that it's not a great group, but I think we've been very generous
Yeah.
over the years.
I would say 5,000.
I would say at least, I mean, they have just such a large impact, though. I mean,
They
for,
bring a lot of people.
right, for
Sure.
money going a long ways, I think it makes sense to give them money, because it does go a long ways. So I would say, I mean, at minimum 5 for them, but.
All right.
All right, so
Right.
that's 44.50.
So we got a shade 45.
Phil, can you talk a little bit to the Oconee County Chamber of Commerce request? As far as, I mean, I know it's for staffing. If we're not funding that, where does that leave them?
So they're providing a staff member at Westminster City Hall that assists with visitor services as well as chamber services. I think that whatever money they get, and Ken May can help with this explanation, they'll use towards that person. I mean, is there any further, from a board standpoint,
But if we don't fund it 100%, does that mean that they won't have that staff person?
So we didn't fund it, we weren't able to fund it 100%
Right.
last fall, or
Right.
in the spring when it
Yeah.
came through. And so they utilized what they could, and they've had somebody in place through that time. I'm not sure if they're putting money with this from the chamber. I'd have to go back and pull the grant and see if they are.
I don't know what the grant request said, but you know, the chamber is a membership-based organization.
So they should have a revenue stream.
And the employee already exists
Right.
in Westminster. So this is an effort to subsidize their existing budget.
I think that's probably what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so, you know, if we shave that down, I mean, if you just knock that down to what they got last year, or
Right.
last quarter, or spring, that'd be 10, and we'd have a little bit more money to give someone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that decision.
10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so,
All right, and in the spirit of Mandy's comments,
Hand it back to the
hand that back to the Quilt Center.
Yeah. They're on time.
Well,
That's hard to do sometimes.
Is that the difference? Is that what I'm hearing?
So,
What was that about, 550?
all right, never mind.
You either do that or split the difference and give half of it to Seneca Merchants and half of it there.
That would be basically doing 100% of their request anyway. Or what they're eligible for, excuse me.
I still have a little hard time with just 5,000 for Performing Arts Center, but I don't know where else we take it from either.
what would you want to go to?
I'm sorry?
What would you want to go to if you want to boost it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking like 7, but
Okay.
I don't know where that comes from. I think we're being pretty fair with everybody else, but I just know that money goes a long, long way.
Well, Oktoberfest too does,
Mhm.
they do historically well.
Right.
So if we wanted to boost Oktoberfest and Performing Arts Center, if we were to trim a little bit from
I was gonna say, I'd go ahead and boost it if you wanted to, and then you can look at it and see.
what it looks like?
So I heard 7 for Performing Arts Center.
Yeah. Yes.
What's that?
I said, that's a good.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a good number and they do good things with it.
And what about
And
Oktoberfest?
then I heard Oktoberfest. Let me look at what we did.
I just don't know what we take away from them.
6 last
So
year.
that's what you did in the past.
I mean, the Oktoberfest does bring in
A lot of people.
a lot of people, and it's a good community, like, it's a good, people here love it, and people come in for it, like, that's,
Right.
that's pretty
Oh, for sure.
awesome.
I mean, if we just increase that to 6. Let's see, Performing Arts Center was at what? So we're at 6.
It was at 5. What about, I mean, Farm Center, we're over 50% for them already. I mean, just looking at other areas, but I don't know if anyone has a strong feeling on that one way or the other.
I'm a really big fan of safety whites.
Safety is important, absolutely.
I will tell you that after the last week's meeting, Ms. McPhail did say that that road is not complete yet. And so if theirs was portionized, or if they needed to pull and come back later, that they would be willing to do so.
That does make a decision a lot easier
Yeah.
on some stuff.
Then 0.
I'd like to propose 4,000 for that one then.
Yeah, I would feel very uncomfortable pulling it,
Yeah.
because if they didn't want it, they wouldn't have applied.
Well, there's still, they've got to do the paving and everything before
Yeah.
they get to the lights. But she just said, this is gonna be used to buy the light poles themselves, they're solar. And so, it was gonna be a little bit of time, and if they needed to come back, they could, or if they needed to cut it down and come back, they could,
And they got 2 years to spend
for
it.
timing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good with the 4 there.
Yeah, that would be a surprise to them, because she came up and offered that.
Okay.
So you use trim 2.
Main Street Wahala, what about knocking it to 3? Reducing it to 3. so
Yeah,
that's a
I
better
mean, I'd be
price.
fine with that, because that gets it in line with that 50% of their eligibility at least.
And
Okay.
we could drop Discover to 7. That would get us there.
Phil, I think with that decision that was made on the farm center, we should at least go back to them and let them know how we came up with that number and encourage them to reapply on the next term.
Oh, they will. Yeah.
What do y'all think?
Where we need to be.
Y'all like it?
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I wish we had, obviously, more to do with it. I mean, more to do, but
Right.
can't do it all.
Yeah. I think that's pretty
I
good.
can remember just a few short years ago.
I know.
20.
Right, yeah, no, we'd be having to make really tough decisions on this one.
Yeah. I think this is good. Yeah. All right. So if we're selling this field, we can just go ahead and,
If everybody's happy, we'll need an individual motion second, and vote on each one. And the only reason we have to do that is because there are several people that has to recuse themselves
right,
from those votes, or we can do it all at one time. But we need to do that just for the record.
okay, we'll go ahead and go down one by one. So I'll start off, I make a motion that we give the recommended 7,500 for the city of Seneca for advertising.
Second.
Okay.
And if you recuse yourself, just make sure Mandy is aware.
Yeah, he's got it.
And then we're just voting and just go down one by
I'd like to
one.
make a motion that we approve $6,000 for Devils Fork
Okay,
State
we're
Park.
gonna vote on the first one.
Yeah,
I think we have to vote on the first one
Sorry,
first.
my apologies.
All right, so we had a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, one. All right, you go
If
ahead.
you don't mind,
Yeah,
I would
go
like
for it.
to make a motion that we accept $6,000 for the Devils Fork State Park.
I second it. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect.
Make a motion that we provide $7,000 to Discovery Upcountry.
Second it?
Well,
Anybody? I'll take it.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, excellent. Next one.
And Mandy, I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
all 3 of them?
Okay,
Well, I guess I'll make a motion. Left, we, fund downtown, that's the one we're on, right? Downtown
Yes.
Seneca Merchant Association, $1,000.
I second it.
The rest of
Yes.
us, whoever's left.
All those in favor who's left? Okay. All right, next one.
I'll make a motion that we fund the Eagles Nest Arts Center, $1,000.
Second it?
Okay. Discussion. All those in favor? Okay. Next one, Main Street Wallow.
Make a motion, we fund $3,000 to Main Street Wahala.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Good. Okay. Next one is Lake Hartwell Country.
Make a motion that we fund Lake Hartwell Country 4,000.
I second it. Discussion. All those in favor? Okay. Next one is the Chamber of Commerce of Oconee County.
I'll make a motion that we fund Oconee County Chamber, $10,000.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we fund the Farm Center $4,000.
Second.
Wait, who did the second?
Riley.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next one is Foothills Farmstead.
I'll make a motion that we fund Foothills Farmstead $2,200 for chimney repairs, rebuild.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next one is the Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail.
Make a motion, we fund Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail, $1,300.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next is Walhalla Oktoberfest.
I'd like to make a motion that we fund Walhalla Oktoberfest $6,000.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? All right, the last one. Walhalla Performing Arts Center.
I'll make a motion that we fund Walhalla Performing Arts Center $7,000 for their request.
Second.
Discussion? And all those in favor? All right.
Who seconded that?
Who seconded the last one?
Me.
Joe? I don't even see y'all's mouths.
At least we're not wearing masks anymore.
No, that's true.
We're all practicing for America's Got Talent.
Mr. Chair, the only thing I have is the next meeting date, November the 17th. It'll be a new meeting here. The next grant cycle deadline is February the 15th for accommodations tax grants. And that eligibility policy will go into effect for the spring '23 grant cycle. So as you talk to anyone, let them know if they're behind on their reporting, then they won't be eligible. We will work over the next month to make sure we get all that information out to each applicant, and work with them however we need to make sure they're in line with the reporting. The 180 days is gonna help. They only have to report now every 180 days instead of every 60. So twice a year, that's not asking too much to keep us informed on what they're working on.
So let me ask you a quick question, Phil. So our threshold has been able to work itself up to 60,000. Is there any, as far as in the future, just projecting, looking ahead, will there be a possibility that could rise again, you know?
It all depends on how much ATAX comes in.
Yeah.
And our workload internally. We were traditionally doing about $40,000 a year for a number of years. Some of you that's been on here for a little while. And as we implemented the short-term rental software, we saw those numbers come in, we began creeping that up, about 10,000 at a time, you know. So, and it's really a comfort level. If you go back to, this number is where I look at, sorry, or more. So when I look at the 400,000 that's sitting there available, and I think about the internal projects that we've got to complete that didn't get approved in the county budget, I then kind of look at the grant process, knowing that we've got X amount coming in for the next 12 months. What's the most we can do, and still have a little cushion there in case something happens internally. So we've been fortunate. This year we'll give out $120,000 in external grants. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I said there's no way we'd ever be able to do that. So I'm very pleased with that number. Could it grow? Possibly. Just depends on, again, what we have internally and what we're able to do project-wise through the budget process versus ATAX as we move through each cycle. So I think 60 is a really good number right now based on the amount of applicants we're getting. So 120 years of, I'm pretty happy with it.
Have you seen an increase in applicants over the recent years?
We've seen an increase in applicants, and we've also seen an increase in how much they're asking for. So
And-
obviously, if you say, hey, I got 60,000 to give out versus 20, they're gonna be like, oh, we need to ask for a little more.
Right.
So we've seen a little bit of both. The 13 applications, that's probably the most we've had in a good while.
Yeah, that's a big
Usually it's between 7, 8, sometimes up to 10. So this was a big group in terms of the amount of applications.
And we had like 2 new ones.
Yeah, we did have a couple new ones.
And I was gonna say, if memory serves me correctly, this cycle is always the largest in, as far as grant
Right.
requests. The next one usually is meeting grants.
Yeah, because a lot of the ones for early spring, they come here, so they're not behind on the February, March cycle. For planning purposes.
And one more question. I know you mentioned at our last meeting about the progress with Seneca Creek landing there. If you could just real quickly, like, I know we got several other boat landings as well, but county, what's the kind of the general status about the condition of all the other ones as well? You know, like Joe Store and all them, and how
So
they're
I can
doing?
only speak to the ones that we manage.
Yeah.
On Kiwi, we manage South Cove and High Falls. Both of those are in very good working order. Both of those received some sort of upgrade in the last, number of years, whether it be the ramp or the dock itself. On Hartwell, we manage 12 different locations. All of those were previously owned by the Corps of Engineers, still owned by the Corps of Engineers, but we have an operational lease on those sites.
Yeah.
Simply because they were going to be closed. And some of them are older. We are working our way through some different processes. Seneca Creek was by far the biggest and the biggest opportunity to provide access at a place where we didn't have much. You could only park probably 4 or 5 boats in the old parking lot of Seneca Creek. The new one will have 49 parking spaces for boats, in addition to the empty parking across the road for tournaments. So it's a big increase in what we're able to do. The challenge with all those Lake Hartwell sites is they're rural, and they're unmanned. And so for us, being able to keep them, we have a staff of 2 during the summer and a staff of 1 in the off-season that cuts grass, picks up trash, cleans those restrooms, keeps the playgrounds in order. So it's a lot for, that small staff. I do have a few upgrades planned. I want to put a courtesy dock at South Union. We are working now to reestablish a shoreline that has been washed away at South Union. And the water level's down, so Roads and Bridges is trying to fit that in best they can. Water level's been up on Hartwell traditionally more this year than normal, so it's been hard to fit that in. That's the only other capital items I have right now. The rest of it would be maintenance items and things as they come up. We do have 3 playgrounds that are really, really old at those locations that I'm looking at how we can fit those in over the next couple of years. And do a new playground that would be Friendship, Fair Play. Well, that's the only 2 playgrounds, so those 2 playgrounds.
Yes.
Playgrounds these days are not cheap. So, just trying to work those in and kind of get those updated a little bit. Provide some recreation at those spaces that have swim areas.
Yeah, I think that's really, really crucial for those Hartwell landings to really get that love and attention there, because with the increased population, the increased tourism, as we're seeing with the numbers, the impact on those landings is going to be increased dramatically. So, yeah. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Then I say I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.